Setting your intention for a peaceful election. So, the theme is courage over comfort. Let me ask, how many are really comfortable with the current election season? Yeah, I get the laughs. That tells me everything, right? Okay, so it's in divine order that our annual theme is courage over comfort. It's appropriate for this season. And of course, we're reading the book, The Technology of Intention by Kim Stanwood Terranova. And she's not really talking about technology like hardware technology. She's talking about the inner technology of how our consciousness works. It's a perfect book for this. This lesson is not a political lesson. I'm not usually a political person. And I will say I have voted many different ways in the past because I'm an independent thinker. There are plenty of diverse opinions in this community, CSL Chico, regarding political party, and separate and different from political candidates. We won't suggest here how you vote. We will encourage you to vote for putting your voice out with your vote. But we believe here in authenticity, and that automatically means diversity. I know that many of you have heard this. I continue to use it because it's the best metaphor, even for myself, to remind myself there are many kinds of cells in this healthy body right here. Each cell is unique, and the different cells serve different purposes. Some cells are serving my skin, my stomach, my liver. I go on and on. And yet, while they serve different purposes, they work together collaboratively in this one healthy body in unity. It's a perfect metaphor for the United States and the world. Yes, we can have diversity and still be in unity with one another. So we believe in the diversity of this country, of the states. We all know that regardless whether we label them a red or a blue state, that there are people in those states that are not quote unquote red or blue. And it changes every day because we change. So we also know our oneness for one another. And the United States has known this oneness for approximately 250 years, right? Since 1776, 248 years. And when I thought about my age, I said to myself, wow, I have witnessed a quarter of peaceful transitions in my life. Wow, that's a fascinating thought. And so I have been in the essence of and witnessed how peaceful elections have happened. So where do we begin in these days and times? With gratitude. Was it Maya Angelou who said, or maybe it was somebody else, if you only spoke of gratitude, that would be enough? So when I reflected that I have witnessed one quarter of those peaceful transitions, I thought to myself, yeah, begin with gratitude for all the diverse policies, candidates, opinions that have come before. I still honor and respect the founding fathers who had to start. And did they all think the same thing? I am going to see Hamilton again in December. If you haven't seen Hamilton, you must see it because you get the essence of the politics, the opinions. But they still respected one another. They still brought us to the point of being able to compromise and continue to perfect this union. And so I know that I will begin in gratitude, continuing to thank all of those who have served before, whether it's been in office or whether it's been in the armed forces, such that we are here today where I can think and speak my mind, where this center can be different than perhaps some other philosophies, and yet we can still all live as one. I know that what I am planting in my consciousness is that we will continue to work together for freedom, liberty, and justice for all. So time to dig into the dirty. If you watch the news and social media, what are they trying to sell you? Fear. What else? Hate, doubt. Yes, division, separateness. Let's distract you with things that don't really matter. Let's name call each other. Lost in false beliefs. Bullying. Yeah. Don't believe my way, then highway. Exactly. And so it's easy. It's easy to just let that come in and trigger us. But if you've been coming to this center for a little while, what do we know is true beyond the form? What do we know is true? Oneness. Yes, there is a source that flows through all of us together. We are not others. We are one humanity. Is there diversity in nature? Inclusivity? Love? Respect? Any of these? Say that again. Got it. Have we forgotten about respect and compassion? Now, you're not going to find a lot of that in the news and social media unless you go after it, right? So are you a leader? Are you a self-leader? To remind yourself, we are more the same than we are different. Minds, bodies, and souls. We were all born of women. We all have the same needs, food, water, and housing. And we all want to live in joy, love, and happiness. Now, granted, some people may find happiness in things that we may not find is happiness. But you must lead yourself to remind yourself of these truths when you read and see the things that we're seeing today. You must be a leader for that. If you are here, I know that that's what you value and what you stand for. Each trigger is a reminder for you to do your spiritual practice. What did I just say? Wow, that was pretty good. I probably would have said, say it again. Each trigger is a reminder for you to do your spiritual practice. And maybe this election has you doing more spiritual practice than before. That would be a good thing. And again, the workshop today to give you practical tools to help get you started or help in your momentum of consciously choosing what you know to be the truth. We want you to lead yourself and choose for a peaceful election. It's imperative. Okay, so the author on page 81 says, it's imperative to stand in willingness and trust if you want the highest good to be revealed. Willingness and trust. And in this environment, I'll add the courage, right? You have to know who you are. You have to know what you value. I mean, if anything, this environment is calling you out to say, what do you value? That's a good thing. Contrast always brings about the, if you don't like this, what do you really stand for? So you must keep the faith and know what is to be true and stay open so you can learn. If we're not learning from each other, we're not going anywhere. All of this is a learning experience for all of us to get to know ourselves. Because if you're being triggered, it's a reminder for you to do your spiritual work. How many of you love Eleanor Roosevelt? I just love her personality based on what I know about her. This is a quote from her. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. One more time. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. And Reverend Kathy adds, and then declare the truth. So, what we actually see out there are people who perhaps are not really conscious of how to set their intentions. Great book about the power of intention. And so they tend to react in fear. And even as I talk with people, they want to go back to the fear. Well, what about? Well, aren't you seeing? Don't you think, a peaceful election? You can see that the people are talking about a peaceful transition. It's like, I am here and now. Here's what I know. Here's what I know. And then I declare my truth and intention. So I'm just going to say again, self-leadership is needed. And we don't always have the discipline to lead ourselves. I was sort of laughing at myself. I created this t-shirt quote, don't be a sheep, be a leader. With your intentions, peace, love, joy, unity, inclusivity. The author says you must be willing to embody your practice of intention even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard. Are you committed to doing that? As we get closer, intensity is bound to move forward. Is your intensity for knowing your truth and your intention also going to balance that out? Or are you going to let it out, be too loud in your head? She also says, your intention is the seed of the transformation that you desire to experience. Your intention is the seed of transformation. Okay. I choose not to participate in hate and fear. And I would say I choose to send peace, love, and healing energy to all. It's not hard to do, but it may be hard to remember to do it, right? And we're not just mouthing that, meaning for those that are, I spent some time with somebody who's just always cynical, so it was interesting just to observe that. No judgment in it, just like, okay, what is your body doing with all that cynicism? And I thought to myself, your trust is not in the same space of trust where my trust is. Can you bring up the second slide, please, Scarlett? So many of you recognize the teaching symbol of the science of mind here. And at the bottom of the V is form. That's where we see things in this world. And I'm going to go to the top. At the top is all possibilities, universal source. And of course, the mind can't actually fathom what it would take to move the earth around the sun and the moon around the earth. So we know that the consciousness and the intelligence is larger than us. However, it is individualized in each of us, and that's the middle area there, the soil. We, like a drop of water from the ocean, are a drop of that all-consciousness, of that all-knowing. What is happening is, because people are not necessarily conscious of this, is they all want to move the form and the effect around. That's part of the bullying, right? I can do this thing down here that's going to manipulate you or, force you into doing something different. What do we know in this philosophy? That's not where change happens. Where does change happen? Yes, knowing the larger intelligence, aligning with that truth, and then bringing that into the essence of your being, which means mind and heart. You can't just say, I believe in abundance and expect things to show up. I have to align myself in knowing my abundance and then it shows up. And it used to be that only faith told us that, but now quantum physics says that the observer gets a different effect when they observe. So what do you want to observe? A peaceful election. Then plant that seed of transformation. It has to begin somewhere. Why not with you? So the workshop today, remaining calm amidst political uncertainty. Again, we will not be political, but we will be establishing for each of us, reminding ourselves what our spiritual tools are. And then once again, in the mindful election intentions with Leanne, setting those together so that we build momentum, like a wave in the ocean. You know, I'm just going to use lots of metaphors. I actually thought about buying a GoPro while I was bobbing in the ocean. This is a side note. Because when you're in the ocean, you're pretty buoyant, right? And Sue and I go to this one beach where the sand is pretty steep. But when you get in the water, it's like a soft roller coaster. You just bob. And you're not doing anything. You're just allowing the ocean as you float. And then you see a wave coming and you're like, uh-oh, oh yeah, I'm floating. I bob up, I bob down. I still think I have to go back with my GoPro and then put a metaphysical lesson. But obviously, we can build momentum first by taking self-leadership, and second, gaining in community by reverberating and building the frequency and the momentum of understanding and knowing our truth and what we want, what our intentions are. The author also says to trust the process of transformation. Now, transformation is a process. Are we in a transformation? Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen an election quite like this one. So in order to trust the process of transformation, we must be willing to allow the vision to guide us when we cannot see past where we are. We must let the vision guide us past where we cannot see where we are. Isn't that faith? She says we must be more than we presently know ourselves to be, which is looking that fear, looking that face of fear. All of this takes enormous courage, a spiritual practice. So transformation requires a shifting of limited thinking into a more expansive knowing. I want you to think about a pink giraffe. Pretty. I love that. A pretty pink giraffe. Were you able to do that? That's because consciousness. You're able to imagine. You are able to create. You are connected to that one power that is more expansive than the experience of the form. You can plant the seed. Each of you makes a difference. Yes, your vote and your intentions matter. And we must lift one another up together to demonstrate the truth of oneness, of unity, of inclusivity, of diversity, that it's all okay. That we can still connect with one another and love one another, even if we have different opinions. Because isn't that what got us to this point in time? Not sameness thinking, the diversity of our thinking. The diversity of nature is self-evident. Just walk in Bidwell Park and then go to Hawaii and see all the different unlimited number of species, animals, plants, insects. There is peace if you're looking for that as you walk through nature. There is peace in nature. It is our nature. To end the lesson, I am going to take directly from the book. She talks about that transformation requires shifting out of that limited thinking. And so the qualities would be courage, resilience, trust, flexibility, self-love. Those are the characteristics. And so she's got a whole page dedicated to what? Courage. My intention is to courageously move forward in my life. Courage is a choice, and I love courageous people. I think courage is sexy and magnificent. I don't know if I'd call it sexy, but I'll say attractive. Superheroes possess courage. And each and every one of us is a superhero in our own making. So we each have courage built into our cells, illuminated in our bloodstream. Courage is something we must call forth and practice as often as possible. Even though it is built within us, right in our DNA, many of us hang out in the fear zone and keep our courage in lockdown. But it's there. It's awaiting for the door to be open, to be set free. Courage is something we activate in the face of fear. We begin by not avoiding the fear, but consciously choosing to face it and move through it. We may be standing in a fearful situation, yet we can choose to move through the fear, not be stopped by it or react to it. In all situations, we can take a breath, inhale courage, exhale the fear, and take the next necessary step forward, which would be the workshop. We may be shaking in our boots, but so does the master teacher. Let us wiggle our way through fear and embrace our courage with strength. Namaste. Okay. I think, just to make sure I'm in the right place. Yes. Alani?